participated in some shenanigans with the Google Tensor 3 and the Pixel 8 phones prior to launch. So basically, what happened, we find out after the fact, is that they officially blocked benchmarking applications in the Google Play Store prior to the phone launching, so that during the review period that reviewers had the phone, they couldn't benchmark the Google Tensor G3. And that raises a couple of issues. One, it's like kind of an integrity thing. Like, why are you keeping reviewers from benchmarking your hardware? And also, why? Like, double why? Because it had already kind of been leaked out all over the place. Had it not been leaked so many places prior to them blocking these apps, and the fact that you could just sideload the apps anyway, then maybe it might make more sense, because Google apparently responded to some people reaching out to them and said it's their standard practice to kind of mask and block the official benchmark information before the products come out, which may or may not have happened in the past. I don't know. But of course, it's like, okay, you can get around that. You can sideload the apps. That's what a lot of people did. I don't really pay attention to benchmarks. I look at them when they come out so I can say, okay, this is about where it's at. But that's really not a good idea for anything, because, well, we all very well know that the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro are fantastic when it comes to machine learning, AI. It's clocked at about a Snapdragon 8 Generation 1. And what's funny, it's actually funny, I was looking at some of the benchmarks, and everybody's like, oh, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2 is so much better on the benchmarks, but the OnePlus 11 benchmarks are just slightly higher. And it has a Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. So you can see there's even differences within the chipset, because if you look at the S23 series phones, they have the Snapdragon for Samsung chip, which is actually clocked higher than other phones, because theirs gets the 3.36 gigahertz boost. So benchmarks are just a snapshot. They don't tell you exactly how well something's going to run, how well it's going to perform, how well it's going to run your apps, how well it's going to handle everything. It's just kind of a snapshot. Like when you say, okay, this 2004 Dodge Ram with a 5.7 liter V8 Hemi has 345 horsepower. I mean, I know because I used to have one. At least I think it was 345 anyway. But you get the picture. Horsepower does not always tell you everything, because it depends on how you're running things, what the applications are. I mean, shoot, you can take a look at a 2020 Supra and it's got like 330 something horsepower, but the sucker does 0 to 60 in like 4 seconds. Whereas you could go get a 500 horsepower car. If it's got a heavier chassis and it's a big truck or something, it's not going to do it that fast. So you really have to look at a lot of different things. It's not just, oh, this is the benchmark score. So I understand from a tiny little perspective, like, okay, we want to kind of unveil this. They said they lifted the benchmark block on the apps before the phones actually were official and consumers could buy them. But I don't think that it gives you an accurate snapshot. And I think what they wanted to try and prevent was, so many people are like, oh, this chip sucks. It's not as good as this one. It's not as good as this one. And that doesn't paint a good picture. Like I talked about in previous videos, because the phone does perform really well. It's got a 3 gigahertz primary core processor. It's going to run day-to-day stuff fantastic. It's going to run pretty much any app fantastic, seamlessly, compared to an S23 Ultra or an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max. Where you look at straight line speed and like certain really intensive apps, no, it might not run that game just as well, and that's probably half of it because it's not optimized for the chip yet, or it's not optimized for Android 14. Like, there's a whole litany of different issues. So I really disagree with what Google did with that, because I'm like, you're just setting yourself up for failure. Maybe they had good intentions, but the problem is good or bad intentions, it looks fishy. And whenever you're one of the largest electronics manufacturers in the world, you're trying to generate goodwill with customers, and you want people to buy this phone, you want to be as honest, upfront, and transparent as possible so people can look at your product so that it can stand for itself. That's what you do. When you make stuff, your product should stand for itself and speak for itself, not be too worried about the benchmarks. Like, I'm sure maybe it would scare away like a few people, but most people that go buy these who care about the phones, they're probably not even looking at benchmarks. I feel like that's such an archaic way of looking at this. And I've had so many discussions. I've made a couple videos. I've talked about this in so many videos because I believe the Tensor G3 is a great chip. And if anything, you should have blocked the temperature sensor so people wouldn't say it's a gimmick, because it doesn't work very well. I mean, there are so many things that you could hide, right? But why hide the benchmarks? Everybody already knew There were so many people that had already benchmarked it. We've seen the hidden and the leaked benchmarks. There's nothing that's that much of a secret over at Google, especially whenever they go out and they share stuff so early. They're like, oh yeah, here's a look at the thing like 4 months in advance. Oh, we've already posted the billboard. We've leaked this. It's for sale on Facebook. I mean, there's just so many different things that are less head scratching or are more head scratching, and then it comes down to this. It's like, why wait till you get to the finish line when everybody kind of already knows what's going on here, and then hide it? It just looks like you're trying to sweep something under the rug. So I disagree with that practice. Hopefully, after this is kind of everybody been talking about it, because I was paying attention to this when I was looking at some of the stuff. I'm like, really? Google, why would you do this? Like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, I don't know. Maybe that is their standard business practice, but at the same point in time, it just doesn't look good. It really doesn't help you out when people are wanting to buy your product, because other brands aren't doing that. I mean, you don't see Apple doing that. You don't see Samsung doing that. And it's widely known what a lot of this architecture is. And regardless of what the benchmarks are, people are going to hate on it anyway. So Google, this is my advice, whether you want it or not. Put it out there next time. People who are going to hate it are going to hate on it. It doesn't matter whether you wait till the last minute to release it or if you hide the apps from the benchmarks, because people who want to have them and they'll just sideload them anyway. So I don't know how well thought through that process was. I really like the Pixel 8. I really like the Pixel 8 Pro. I think Google's done an excellent job with them. I've been seeing a lot of articles talking about how fantastic the camera is, that the camera is beating the Apple iPhones, it's beating the Samsung phones, it's still king of the smartphones now. You can draw your own conclusions. I know a lot of people like this and they like this, and everybody kind of has their own preferences, but ultimately, your products will speak for themselves. And Google's products, especially this year, when looking at the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro, I think are speaking well for themselves. I've gotten so much positive feedback. I've had a lot of folks say, hey, I had the Pixel 6. I went ahead and got the 8 Pro. It's been so much better. No more heat issues. Battery life so much better. Love the cameras. I've hardly had any negative feedback on this phone. Beautiful screen. It has lots of great new complementary features and all sorts of stuff. Android 14 has been pretty darn seamless for me. So let the product speak for itself. Don't try and hide stuff or try and suppress information that's going to get out anyway, because it's just going to make you look bad. Whether you're hiding something, whether you're lying, whether this isn't anything, you should never try to smother this stuff and keep it hidden, because it's going to show up anyway. And most of the people that are complaining about it are probably using an iPhone and not going to use the phone anyway. So that's all I got in this video. I just wanted to talk about that. But I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments section. I'm going to go ahead and shut up and stop talking here. If you have any questions or comments, please, of course, go to the comment section. I'll do my best to get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. And I'll see you guys next time.